Good morning, I'm Samriddhi K.C. and these are the headlines of the hour. Parliamentary subcommittee reports of billions of corruption in the construction of Pokhara Airport suggest for the immediate suspension of Director General of the authority. UML lawmakers hesitate to sign the document. UN urges Bhutan to release 32 long-held political prisoners. Experts cite human rights violations and harsh detention conditions. And head of the United Nations Nuclear Watchdog Agency and head of Iran's Atomic Energy Agency meet in Tehran, America and Iran to have further talks about nuclear program this Saturday. And Mumbai Indians clinches a 4-wicket victory over Sunrisers Hyderabad in the ongoing Indian Premier League. MI's bowling tricks on sluggish pitch gets them second straight win. A subcommittee under the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament has prepared a report concluding that corruption occurred in the construction of Pokhara International Airport. The subcommittee formed to investigate irregularities at the airport has concluded that large-scale corruption took place. The subcommittee's report states that during the investigation, it was determined that policies were even amended for the purpose of facilitating corruption. The subcommittee also concluded that substandard materials were used during the airport's construction. The coordinator of the subcommittee, Rajendra Lingden, stated that since significant corruption was evident during the airport's construction, the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority, CIAA, should be recommended to investigate and take action against those responsible. A parliamentary subcommittee concluded that a task force was formed to legitimize corruption and initiate costs for the Pokhara International Airport. A new agreement granted tax exemptions contrary to the original. The Auditor General reported 2.024 billion rupees in irregularities, with the Finance Ministry unresponsive on tax issues. The subcommittee recommended action against those involved. Irregularities included reducing runway height and using excavated gravel, separately awarding the Chinedada Hill cutting 322 million rupees and improper HVAC payment of 742,000 rupees. Payments were made for undone soil excavation of $10.6 million and for gravel not brought in $5.499 million. Additional items cost increased from 15.23 to 20.436 million with 22.2 million rupees in soil-related irregularities. United Nations human rights experts have urged the Bhutanese government to release 32 political prisoners who have been held in Bhutanese jails for decades. The UN has also urged the King of Bhutan to pardon and release these prisoners, exercising his constitutional rights. The prisoners were sentenced to life imprisonment for terms of up to 34 years after being convicted of terrorism and national security offenses following events in 1990s and 2010s. Human rights experts have stated that such harsh punishments are wrong for exercising the rights to peaceful assembly, freedom of expression, and participation in political affairs under international law. In 2022, the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention also declared the detention of 3 prisoners illegal. The UN has expressed concern about the severe torture of the prisoners. The conditions of the detention are deplorable, with a lack of warm water and clothing, and communication with the family is also restricted. Experts have pointed out that leaving the Indian rupee INR exchange rate system to market without preparation could lead to political, social and economic crisis. The High-Level Economic Reform Commission formed by the government has submitted a report with suggestions that the value of Indian rupees should be determined by the Nepali market. Former Executive Director of Nepal Rashtra Bank Nar Bahadur Thapa has stated that we have not yet reached the stage of making the exchange rate volatile. He said that our economy has not yet developed that capacity. Nepal currently has an annual trade deficit of nearly 1 trillion rupees with India. Thapa added that while leaving the exchange rate volatile is good according to international practices, Nepal is not in a position to implement it right now.
अर्थतन्त्रले काम गरि नराखेको, अर्थतन्त्र चलायमान नभएको अनि देशमा संस्थाको सुशासनमा कुनै सुधार नभएको व्यथित भएको मुलुकमा विनिमय दरलाई पनि बजारमा छोडिदिने हो भने तेलको मूल्य के हुन्छ, औषधिको मूल्य के हुन्छ, भारतबाट नेपाली उद्योगपतिहरूले जुन कच्चा पदार्थ आयात गर्छन् आज एउटा मूल्य विनिमय दरको कारणले भोलि अर्को मूल्य हुँदा त्यसलाई नेपाली अर्थतन्त्रले थ्याक्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन भन्ने प्रश्न चाहिँ छ।
He said that there is a risk of social, economic and political crisis if the exchange rate is left unstable immediately. The General Secretary of the ruling coalition Nepali Congress, who has been expressing strong dissatisfaction with the government's working style, has proposed that the party should leave the Council of Ministers. He has proposed that as long as UML leads, Congress should support from outside and all ministers should be removed from the government. He emphasized that the government's working style needs to be changed. Congress General Secretaries Gagan Thapa and Vishwa Prakash Sharma have been strongly criticizing the steps taken by Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli.
जो प्रधानमन्त्री उसैको टिम यसमा सहमत हुँ। मैले आज बोल्दा नि भने कि कांग्रेसको मन्त्रीहरुको कारण अप्ठ्यारो छ काम गर्न भने प्रधानमन्त्रीलाई भन्नु पर्यो फ्री एन्ड सर्ट छ हामी तपाईको दल एमाले को प्रधानमन्त्री हुँदै गर्दा एमाले को टिम दिने टोटल अरु साना दललाई गाँसौँ कांग्रेस बाहिरिने कांग्रेस बाहिरेर विपक्षमा जाने कांग्रेस सत्ता पक्षको बेन्चमा बस्ने सरकारलाई साथ दिने कमी कमजोरीमा प्रश्न यसरी गरे जस्तै गर्ने अनि सहयोग गरेर पनि जाने जुन प्रधानमन्त्री उसैको टिम भोलि कांग्रेसको प्रधानमन्त्री बन्ने बेलामा कांग्रेसको टिम हुन्छ एमालेले बाहिर बसेर सहयोग गर्छ खबरदारी गर्छ।
4 months ago, 24-year-old Anandi Devi Sadai, who was sexually abused in Siraha, was found hanging dead at her own house in Jagatpur Donwari toll of Navrajpur rural municipality on Tuesday afternoon. On December 24, local 22-year-old Sanjeev Kumar Yadav and 32-year-old Shyam Sundar Yadav had attempted to rape Anandi Devi near a mango orchard by the village pond. Immediately after the incident, a complaint of attempted rape was filed with the police. However, the police registered the complaint only after 2.5 months on March 9th. Instead of punishing the culprits after the complaint, some locals and the police themselves tried to settle the matter. After the victim prepared to go to the media, the area police office Maheshpur Patar finally registered the complaint. They accused Sanjeev's father Upendra Yadav and Shyam Sundar's father Shivdat Yadav, along with local Narendra Yadav and others, had repeatedly pressured the victim to settle for 200,000 rupees.
छोरा कनी रुपयो के हमरा बेटी के धमकी देखो रुपया आते देछु होते देछु ना करो ना करो तब नरेंद्र यादव के यहाँ भोर वाला जर क कही है तब कहलिए कौन तरह से हमरा के चेंज मिलेगा तब ले लो ई कथि करी समाज जनवरी 2 लाख रुपया लेने गेले बुआ रुपया का हम भूखल नहीं छी त नहीं कहलनी हम मानो जे करे नहीं मानबो हम लड़बो।
Not only the perpetrators' people, but the police, who had the responsibility to investigate based on victims' complaint and bring the perpetrators to justice, also pressured the victim to settle in the village, saying that the case would not lead to anything. Due to this, the victim was frustrated and suffered from additional mental stress.
अच्छा से दवा पैसा लो भी से नहीं लार मिल जिल जो छोरा का कैसे कर भी छोरा का जब वो पकड़े लिया छोरा इंडिया भाग जे तो कथि करबो।
Arrest warrants were issued against both the accused in the incident by the Siraha District Court on 10th of March. However, even after the victim repeatedly informed them, the police have not arrested the accused yet. Siraha police claims that it has been difficult to arrest them as they have fled to India and that everything in this case has been done according to the law.
घटना घटिसकेपछि प्रहरीले गर्नुपर्ने सबैभन्दा पहिलो काम अब यस्तो जबरजस्तीकरणी तथा उद्योग जस्ता केसहरुमा मेडिकल गराउने कामहरु टाइममै भएको छ। अनुसन्धानका प्रक्रियाहरु पनि अहिलेसम्म चलिरहेछ, गर्नुपर्ने कामहरु गरिरहेछ। अब जो प्रतिवादीहरु थिए तिनीहरु चाहिँ अहिले यहाँ नेपालमा नरहेको लुकेर भारतमा बस्या हुनाले ढिलाइ भएको हो, ती पनि समातिया छ, प्रहरीले समातेर ल्याएका छन्।
Local people's representatives say that the police have been very negligent in this incident, and even though they tried to advocate for justice, the police did not listen.
प्रशासनले बदमाशी गरेको त्यो त वास्तवमा गरेको हो। अब के भन्नु, हाम्रो अब जनप्रतिनिधिको नाताले हामीमाथि चाहिँ सवाल उठाउँछ के अरे प्रशासनले।
An examination of the details of the incident confirms how the state agencies do not consider grassroots citizens as citizens and how helpless citizens seeking justice are disappointed and forced to choose the path of death. In this case, not only those who attempted rape but also the locals who tried to cover up the incident and the police who hesitated to provide justice need to be thoroughly investigated and punished. Welcome back. Paracetamol and oral rehydration salts, locally known as Jivanjal, are essential medicines. However, the government-owned Nepal Drugs Limited has stopped producing these two due to less sales and government's negligence. Even though it was reoperated in Nepalese year of 2074 after being closed for 8 years, the future of Nepal Drugs Limited is uncertain due to government's mismanagement and neglect.
Nepal Drugs Limited, Nepal's first pharmaceutical company, established in the Nepalese year of 2029, was closed from 2063-64 BS. It was brought back into operation nearly 10 years later, that is, from Nepali year of 2074. Before its closure, this industry used to produce up to 140 types of medicines, while after resuming operation, it had been producing 11 types of medicines, including paracetamol, oral rehydration salts and folic acid. But for the past 1.5 months, the production of paracetamol and oral rehydration salts has been halted. The Limited has stated that production has been stopped for the time being because the available medicines were not sold and the government did not help with sales.
अहिले चाहिँ सिटामोल लगभग हामीसँग 70-80 लाख ट्याब्लेट स्टकमा छ अनि त्यसको र मटेरियल पनि त्योभन्दा बढी नै छ हैन अनि जीवनजल पनि 14-15 लाखदेखि 20 लाखसम्मै होला स्याचेट चाहिँ हामीसँग अहिले स्टकमा अब यो चीज चाहिँ अब किन बिक्री भएन भन्दाखेरि सरकारले चाहिँ G2G मार्फत दिनलाई पनि ढिला गरिदिने र MOU को पनि प्रक्रिया चाहिँ नटुङ्गाइदिने र स्टकिसले पनि हामीबाट धेरै फाइदा हुँदैन भनेर नलिदिने कारणले गर्दाखेरि अहिले हामी चाहिँ स्टकमा भएको औषधि क्लियर नगरिकन नयाँ औषधि बनाउँदाखेरि हाम्रो एक्सपायरी डेट चाहिँ 2 वर्षको मात्रै हुन्छ र अर्को वर्ष अहिले यो साल बनाएको औषधि अर्को बेच्दाखेरि फेरि नियर एक्सपायरी हुन्छ भनेर फेरि नकिन्दिने हुनाले अहिले हामीले चाहिँ जति औषधि हामीसँग स्टक छ त्यो क्लियर गरिकन मात्रै नयाँ औषधि उत्पादन गर्ने लक्ष्यमा छौं।
The government has been distributing 98 types of medicines for free, which include paracetamol and oral rehydration salts. The central, provincial and local governments as well as hospitals all purchase medicines. However, the government bodies that purchase medicines from private companies have not shown interest in purchasing medicines from the government-owned company itself. The Department of Health Services purchased medicines worth 15 million rupees from the Limited last year, but this year it has not initiated any process. The Ministry of Health replies that it is not mandatory for them to purchase medicines from the Limited.
हामीले चाहिँ भरसक आफ्नै देशमा उत्पादन भएको त्यसैमा अझ सरकारी कम्पनीबाट भएकोलाई प्राथमिकता दिन्छौं तर वहाँ चाहिँ भन्नाले टेन्डर प्रोसेसमा चाहिँ आउनु पर्यो हामीले चाहिँ खोलेका टेन्डरहरुमा उहाँहरुले एप्लाई गर्नु पर्यो त्यसअनुसार चाहिँ हामीले उहाँहरुलाई प्राथमिकता दिनेमा दुईमा छैन तर अर्को विकल्प भनेको G2G हो जो उद्योग मन्त्रालयले स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयसँग किनभने नेपाल औषधि लिमिटेड भन्दा उद्योग मन्त्रालय किन मन्त्रालयको कुरा हो नि त हैन त्यसकारणले उद्योग मन्त्रालयले स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयसँग चाहिँ MOU गरिदिनु पर्यो उद्योग मन्त्रालयको अन्तर्गत रहेको नेपाल औषधि लिमिटेडबाट उत्पादन भएको सामानहरु स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयले यो भावमा चाहिँ भने खरिद गर्छ तर स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयले माग गरेको बेलामा पुर्याउने दायित्व पनि त्यसको हुन्छ फेरि।
However, a committee formed 2 months ago under the leadership of the Ministry of Health itself decided that the federal, provincial and health agencies would correspond to purchase medicines from the Limited, but the file has been stuck in the Ministry of Health for a month. On April 3, 2023, a committee formed under the coordination of the then Chief Secretary Shankar Das Bairagi also decided to sign an MOU between the Ministry of Industry and the Ministry of Finance for the production and sale of medicines and to recommend providing 240 million rupees for the production of additional medicines. But progress is almost nil. On the other hand, the Ministry of Industry is not clear on how to save and promote the industry under its jurisdiction. The Ministry of Industry itself says that the limited should not only rely on the Ministry of Health.
हामीले गर्ने सपोर्ट भनेको चाहिँ उहाँहरुको प्रोडक्सन एफिसिएन्सी उहाँहरुले बढाउनु पर्यो, मार्केटिङ पोलिसी उहाँहरुले ल्याउनु पर्यो, सञ्चालक समितिले डिसाइड गर्नु पर्यो र अरु कुनै त्यस्तो मन्त्रालयको तर्फबाट गर्नुपर्ने कोअर्डिनेसन सपोर्ट त्यसको लागि मन्त्रालय सदैव तयार छ र यो संस्थालाई अगाडि फुलफ्लेज चलाउने हिसाबले नै सरकारले सञ्चालन गरेको हो नि त, नभए विगतमा बन्द थियो। त्यसैले यही बन्द हालतमा राख्नु हुँदैन यो चाहिँ भनेर सरकारले चलाएको। अब यसमा चाहिँ सञ्चालक समिति जिम्मेवार हुनुपर्छ र सञ्चालक समितिले भिजन सहित बिजनेस प्लान सहित अगाडि आएपछि मन्त्रालयले सपोर्ट।
Former General Manager Mohammad Safiullah has the experience of having the file with the plan lost 3 times, even after taking it 3 times in the past. While private companies are occupying the Nepali market, why has the government-owned company reached such a state of collapse? The question now raises on why the government-owned companies have reached to such level of collapse. Both the government and the limited are to blame for this.
मलाई लाग्छ अहिलेको जुन चर्चेलको कुरा उठाउनु भयो यो फनी रूपमै भन्ने हो भने छन् होला। त्यो नेपाल सरकारको निकायमै नेपाल औषधिको फाइल 3 चोटि हराएको मैले अनुभव गरेको छु भने कहीँ न कहीँ कमजोरी त छ। नेपाल सरकारले नेपाल औषधिलाई पैसा मात्र दियो भने यसको सहयोगिता र उत्पादनलाई हामीले सेन्ट्रल पर्चेस सिस्टम सप्लाई सिस्टमलाई लिएर अहिले जतिवटा प्रोडक्ट छ त्यति प्रोडक्टले पनि नेपाल सरकारले यसको बेनिफिट लिन सक्ने अवस्था चाहिँ छ एउटा बाटो। अर्को जुन समयमा अब उत्पादन नै गर्नुपर्यो भने पहिला त नेपाल सरकारलाई कति आवश्यकता छ भने त्यही टार्गेट मिलाउने हो भने नेपाल औषधिले पनि आफ्नो प्लानिङ चाहिँ दिनु पर्यो। यो प्लानिङ र योजनामा नेपाल सरकार पनि चुकेको छ, नेपाल औषधि पनि चुकेको छ।
The pharmaceutical market of Nepal is worth about 70 billion rupees. In this, the market share of domestic and foreign pharmaceutical companies is 50-50. Despite having such a large pharmaceutical market, the products of the government-owned pharmaceutical company have reached the point of closure. The government-owned Ayurvedic medicine industry, Singha Darbar Vaidyakhana, is also on the verge of collapse. It is a matter of concern on why the government is not paying attention even when government-owned pharmaceutical industries are in such a state.
That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.